buddy of mine asked me the other day, "Hey Zeke, does being consistent or being needy get you laid?" And this is a guy who I've been preaching red pill stuff to for a long time now. So coming from a semi red pill guy, and he's been reciprocating the same type of energy, red pill energy to me back as well. So that's why I'm keep going at him, hoping to drill this home, this red pill information. So coming from a semi-pro red pill knowledge guy, this question does not sound good at all. Coming from a blue pill guy, okay, I understand where he's coming from. He doesn't know any better. Fellas, just take a second and think about it. What does a man look like when he's being consistent or persistent? When he's trying to get a girl to come back to his house, or trying to meet up with her, or trying to go over to his house, or trying to go over to her house. What do y'all think that he comes across as? He comes across very needy. But before I burst all your bubbles, the quick and short and comfortable and feeling good answer is yes. Being consistent will get you laid. It will. But not with the quality of women you want to be laid with. Plain and simple. I have two stories I want to give to you guys, okay? And then after that, I'll talk about in general some of my old experience with other women. So the first story is out of the two girls I long-term dated back in high school and my early college days. One of them, which was my very first long-term relationship, the girl was extremely needy, which turned me really off. And I'm a guy who back then I was like, if I'm telling you guys that I'm turned on 24/7 now, back then this would have been an understatement. I just wanted to go, go, go. You know, teenage years growing up, I was always turned on. And she was so clingy to me, so into me that like she would just drop down on her knees on command anywhere. Not anywhere, but at any time. And that girl turned me off because she was clingy. So that if that doesn't give you guys an idea of what neediness, clinginess does, I don't know what will. When a guy is rejecting a girl from seeing him and from doing anything, I ended up breaking up with her. And she was so heartbroken and so much more needy. She turned out to be so much more needy that she was literally waiting for me outside of my house when I would come back from football practice or soccer practice, and she would be crying and with my mom, talking to my mom about it, trying to convince her to convince me. And my mom is a very fairly reasonable woman, and she's also a very emotional woman as well. My mom kind of went through the same thing with my dad, so it hit her more personal. Like personally, she could understand my ex-girlfriend's pain. So my mom tried to work things out, but nothing obviously is gonna work out because back then I had zero to no value. Right, as a young man in high school, I had no value. I'm still a young man, but I had less value then than I do now. My body wasn't as great of a body that I have now. I didn't have that body back then. I wasn't as smooth with women. I didn't have a whole lot of things going for me at all. And I still got turned off. So what do you think a high quality woman, and when I say a high quality woman, I just mean strictly her looks. A hot woman, let's just go with that. What do you think a hot woman is going to think when you start acting needy and clingy and starting being persistent and consistent? When you hear a guy talking about being persistent and being consistent with a woman, it just means being needy. That's it. Being needy and being clingy. That's the only thing that will make sense out of that statement. Okay? There's nothing else you're doing to besides being clingy and being needy. When you say I'm being consistent, I'm being persistent, that means you're consistently pushing her, playing this push-pull game and this and that. She knows you want it. You're consistently showing it to her, showing interest to her that you want it. This is why all these pickup artists and fake dating coaches out here are telling you guys to play this push-pull game, because you push a little bit and then you pull back. Now she's confused, right? No, screw all that. It all comes down to your mindset. As until your mindset is not ready, none of this game is going to work out for you. So I'll get to that in a little bit. So yes, it will get you laid because, as I just mentioned with my first example, that girl was at a lower value than me. I saw myself as a higher value than her, and her being clingy and persistent and consistent and clingy and just turning me off like that, just sorry, is being clingy and being persistent just turned me off even more. It made me think even highly, even more highly of myself than her than I really was. Same thing is that's happening when you're doing the same thing to another hot woman, to a girl. She was pedestalizing me, my ex. You're pedestalizing this girl, this hot girl. Same exact thing is going on. She gets turned off, I got turned off. If a guy gets turned off by that kind of behavior, what makes you think a girl won't? A girl has, especially a hot girl, has way more options than a hot guy. A 10, a girl who's a 10 will by far beat a guy who's a 10 in looks when it comes to having options. At any given day, at any given time, wherever she is, at whichever era she is, she'll always have more attention than the guy, even if they are at the exact same level when it comes to looks. They're both 10s, okay? So obviously she has way better, more options than you if you're acting like that. Because when she started acting needy and clingy and being consistent, even though I made up my mind, it just made her look weak. It made her look like she had no value. It made me think that she had no value at all whatsoever. I'm not saying that you might not necessarily have good value to offer to her, but when you come across like that, it just makes you look like you don't. And females, we all know that they do not think logically. Even though they know that you have a $2 million house in your back wherever you live in LA, you have $5 million sitting in your bank account. She knows that she can get a lot out of you. Even those girls can get turned off if you keep acting needy and clingy. Even though she knows you have value, you can still bring your value down in her eyes just by acting that way, because they're emotional creatures. It's all based on their emotions, their logic. You're turning her off. Okay? Second story that I have is I did the exact same thing to another girl. And the reason why I did, well, no, I didn't do the exact same thing. I did act needy and I did act clingy, but not to that level of not to that extreme level of what my ex was doing to me. So I was talking to this girl. She lived, she's from like 7-8 hours away from where I live, but she goes to school pretty close to my house. I think only like 40 minutes away. So I was talking to her. We met up on Instagram. I was talking to her, chatting back and forth, and she showed very high interest initially. I got her number, and instantly that night I called her, which was my first mistake right there. I shouldn't have called her. I should have made her wait till she came back, because that was during I think New Year's break and Christmas break and all that. She went home for the break and she's gonna come back, and she was gonna come back in 2 weeks. And I should have gotten her number and not hit her up at all whatsoever. Just completely went ghost on her, made her think that, oh, what just happened? We just had a great conversation and he just never even hit me up. But instead I talked to her for an hour, and this happened to me recently, like this year. Even after I had this red pill knowledge, because she was just that hot and I gave in. Now I'm way smarter. Like, this is how, as men, this is how I know these things. This is how I know all these things that I do, is because from experience, not because I read a book or watched a movie. No, I made more mistakes than you guys ever have. That's how I know all this. So no, I'm not any god or any scientist or nothing like that. It's just personal experience that I'm sharing with you guys. And I'm not going to hide anything from you. I'll be straight up 100% honest with you. So that's why I'm telling you guys the mistakes I'm making. I mean, I don't care if you judge me. I want you to learn from it and not make these mistakes that I made. But anyways, so 2 weeks later, and within this 2 weeks, I kept telling myself, you know what, Zeke, this is not good. This is not good. This is the worst part, right? I kept telling myself, Zeke, you need to stop talking to her every day. Like, for some reason, we were just talking every day within that 2 weeks period. And like, we already set the plans up of her hanging out with me when she comes back up here, but we just like kept talking about it. about the plan. Like I just now that I look back at it, which was only a few months ago, it was so stupid. Like I just left it. I just left that booty on the table because of my silly mistakes that I made. So those are huge, huge mistakes that I made, which gave away the impression that I don't have any other options to any other options. I'm being clingy. I'm being needy. I'm being consistent. I'm consistently messaging her every day. We're consistently talking every day. So she got this idea that, okay, I have this guy on lockdown. I don't need to try anymore at all. So when she came back up here, what do you think happened? She started playing wishy-washy games with me. And she was supposed to come over to my place. My third mistake now is she ended up making me drive to her place. Yeah, that was my third mistake. I drove 40 minutes to her place, thinking that I'm going to get some action. My fourth mistake was she goes from a high level 9 interest to down to like a 6 level 9 interest when she tells me that, oh, I don't do anything in the first night. I don't hook up in the first night. And before she was talking like down, like she was talking all sorts of dirty things to me a week before. So that's when I knew that that's my fourth mistake, that even after knowing this fact that she's clearly straight up told me that, oh, I don't do anything in the first night, I still drove 40 minutes to go see her. Okay? That was my fourth mistake. My fifth mistake, I'm going to run you guys through this whole night. Okay? Obviously, I didn't hear from her or see her after this one night, because this is a very good example. My fifth mistake, when I went there, I started acting clingy. I started putting my arm around her, getting too close up to her, being handsy with her, this and that, instead of being laid back, letting her come to me. Because at one point in the night, I stopped talking to her. We were just watching a movie. I stopped talking to her, and she struck up the conversation. I moved my hand away from her because I was doing something. I think I was stretching my arm because her head was on my shoulder for so long it started falling asleep. And then she came on me. And still after that, I kept being clingy with her. Still after that, I kept trying to get some action, even though, and that's my sixth mistake, right? I lost count. So even after seeing that, like, in-person live example, I still didn't stop myself. That's my sixth mistake, guys. That's how caught up I was to get some action from her, because she was just that hot in my eyes. Maybe some of you guys might look at her and be like, oh, what is this? What is Zeke talking about? She ain't even that cute. But again, looks are subjective. My next mistake was me talking to her about it. Yes, I literally talked to her. I was like, so how come you're not giving any action, this and that? She told me, oh, I'm not in my hoe phase anymore, this and that. You already know what that means when a girl tells you that. So, guys, don't make any of these mistakes, okay? Obviously, it didn't work out between her and I. I never saw her after that, never heard from her, whatever. So, this is what being clingy and being needy does, being consistent does. Now, in general stories, some other stories I want to share with you guys is that back in 2018, I moved from where I was living to another town for school. I had to switch schools because I was done at a community college. Now I'm going to a 4-year university. When I moved, I was in this new town all by myself. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any friends, nobody. One of my friends was actually supposed to come move with me into the new town, but he couldn't switch his jobs at the last minute, so he bailed. And I got Tinder when I moved to this new town. I was also freshly broken out of a relationship, out of a relationship. My second girlfriend, second long-term relationship, and the last one, hopefully. Knock on wood. Hopefully I don't get whipped like how I just shared the story with you guys, how I was a few months ago with that one girl, just to get some action, right? I didn't even have any intention of dating her, just to get some action. But anyways, so when I went down there and I got Tinder, freshly out of a relationship, man, and I worked really hard on my body that summer. I had a six-pack. First time in my life I got a six-pack. So I was taking pictures every single day of it, and all of it ended up on Tinder, on my Tinder profile. I banged out, I think, 50 plus 50 or 60 plus girls, and then within the time period of 3 months, 3 to 4 months. In that fall semester, that very first semester that I came down to this new town, I banged out that many women. And yes, I had to be persistent and consistent with a lot of them. So yes, being persistent and consistent, quote unquote, in parentheses, being clingy and being needy. Again, I'm not necessarily acting needy in a sense of, oh, okay, hey, beautiful, hey, sweetheart, how's your day, this and that. I'm trying to talk to them every day. I'm trying to keep that spark going. That's still called, that's another form of being needy and being clingy. Okay? Hot girls will pick it up just like that. Not so hot girls like that. They want to keep that conversation going because they don't get that attention every single day from guys who have six packs like that. Every now and then some guys who are at a higher level than them will come back and bang him out and sleep with them for a couple nights, and then they'll move on. Most of the times that they're messing around with is low quality men. So that's why these girls kept going along with me too. So yes, it did give me a lot of results, but not the results I wanted. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't lie here, and I'm not ashamed of my past, because without my past, I wouldn't learn the things I learned today. So those women, even though I got results from them, those are not the ones I want to be seen with out in public. Okay? Definitely not. Let's just say that. Okay, I don't want to scale. I don't want to rate them right now. Let's just say that I would not want to be seen with them out in public. So yeah, it did give me results, but no, not the results I was looking for. So, fellas, if you want to be consistent and persistent, yes, you'll get results with women, but not the ones you want. So instead, what should you do with consistency when it comes to consistency and persistency? You should be putting consistency and persistency in your purpose, in your life, grinding, making your life better, which is what I'm doing now. I don't even talk to unattractive girls anymore. Hot girls, good-looking girls, if they give me crap, okay, I'll deal with that a little bit longer, and then eventually I'll just be like, you know what, it's not worth it, I'm moving on. But even unattractive girls, I won't even entertain them. Not even for one hey message. Not even that. Nuh-uh. No way. I deleted Tinder. I had Tinder Gold. So if that doesn't tell you how desperate I was back then to get some action, because as I just said, I just freshly came out of a relationship, so I had to get under a lot of women just to get over one. We'll talk about that relationship in another video, because that's the relationship that got me into this red pill stuff, got me into this world of red pill, into this knowledge. So it was actually a good thing, that breakup. Hope this video made sense. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Until next time, stay blessed, stay beautiful, and above all, stay classy.